All right, good afternoon. We're going to continue with our media availabilities this afternoon here at Bristol Motor Speedway, and we have now been joined by Jamie McMurray, driver of the #1 McDonald Chevrolet. And Jamie, in recent weeks, you've been sharing a little bit more about your training journey and some of the things you've been doing with cycling and running, and I know you
How do you know about that?
Well, you tweet about it.
I tweet, okay.
And then also with the Runner's World article that I think came out this week, you shared a little bit in there about training for a marathon in December. You know, how does that training potentially help you, you know, in the Bristol night race tomorrow night, knowing that, you know, it's a longer race and here at the fastest half mile?
It's pretty. Let me give you a deep answer here of how my training is going to help tomorrow night. I don't know that there's any direct correlation with whether you're cycling or running to being in the car. There's certainly a great benefit from the cardio side of riding a bike or running, and Bristol is one of those tracks that you're reminded of every time we come back here at how you tend to hold your breath for numerous laps. It takes a little while to get relaxed enough around this place, especially running the top. Running the bottom is not near as bad as trying to get around the top of this place. So, yeah, I think I don't know that it correlates exactly, but certainly is nice to be in good cardio shape right now.
All right, and then also you've had several wins, obviously throughout your career. But where would a Bristol win, specifically the night race, rank among those?
Well, I have said since I think 2010, after winning Daytona and Indy in the same year, that the Bristol night race, if I could pick one race to win, that this would be the race. So, I mean, it ranks really high on my list of places to be able to win. To go to Victory Lane here to hear the response of the people in the stands. There's typically something else happening at the end of these races besides the winner. So to hear the reaction from all the crowd, it would be huge.
All right. We'll open for questions for Jamie. If you have one, please raise your hand. State your name and affiliation. All right. Going once. Okay. We'll start from with Mike.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Are you comfy or slightly uncomfy with your point situation?
Sorry, I'm vibrating. My son got his first set of stitches today, so I'm getting an update from my wife right now. We ran into somebody at PE. We're 6 and we're a boy. That's what happened. He's pretty ornery, but I guess he ran into somebody during gym or something at school. It's on his, I think, third day of school right now, and cut his eye, so he had to go get some stitches. So as a parent, you're a little bit concerned, but I with FaceTime, I FaceTimed him earlier and informed him that I have had numerous stitches on my face, so it's just part of being a boy. Am I comfy? No, I'm not. I think until you can be locked in, you just never know. I mean, another first-time winner changes it quite a bit. What I would say this year versus probably the last 2 years, though, kind of being in the same position, is that we're running better at every track now than we did the last 2 years. And the last month have been really good. Indy and Pocono, we had great cars, and had some type of a cooler failure at Pocono. And got caught up in one of the accidents towards the end of the race at Indy, and had a great car last week. Should have finished 3rd or 4th. That last caution came out, and because of the guys that hadn't pitted yet, it put us. I think we ended up finishing 9th. But we've had really good cars. We have another good car this weekend. So I feel probably more comfortable than I did the last couple of years. But I don't know. There's been so many kind of unique winners this year that I mean, if you'd have told me in Daytona you could be 8th in points at Bristol, I would say you're locked in. There's just been a lot of unique winners this year, though.
All right. Lee, go ahead.
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. Can you talk about getting into the PJ1 or whatever they're calling it these days? And, some spotters were saying it was wearing off. Do you think it needs to be reapplied? Can you just kind of take us through the motions as far as what the feeling is like and what the benefits are as a driver?
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on whatever we call that, the sicky stuff, I don't really care. I mean, if they want to put it across the whole track, I don't care. If they want to put it 2 foot on the very bottom, I don't care. The track eventually is going to be around the top if we don't get any rain. The one thing that has hindered us the last 2 races here, with the top not coming in quick enough, is all the rain we've had. I think we've actually run the race on a different day, both last fall and in the spring. Once the top though gets rubbered in, that will be the fastest groove. But it doesn't really matter to me. It's kind of fun to qualify around the top if that wasn't on the bottom, but the fact that it's down there, we're going to qualify on the bottom. I think it might help the restarts a little bit for the cars on the inside. But every racetrack we go to, whether it's Martinsville or Michigan last week, Martinsville, you have to be on the bottom on a restart, and at Michigan last week, you had to be on the outside. It just doesn't really matter to me. I feel like we've messed with it quite a bit, and I really don't care. They can do whatever they would like, and you go race, and it's the same for everybody.
All right, Bob. Bob had a question up front.
Don't bring the room down here, okay? What? Don't bring the room down here. Positive questions.
I won't run the bus over you this time.
Yeah, don't run over me twice here.
Okay. So eventually, will the groove be up on the top tomorrow night? Is that what you're expecting?
If it doesn't rain, I think the groove will be on the top on lap 15 of the Xfinity race once the tires start to wear out. It looked like, to me, from the time our practice started to at the end, it got quite a bit lighter. And the grip started to go away, and the groove actually did move up, and it started to rubber in. It's just going to depend on how much rain we get. If we don't get any rain, yeah, I expect the Xfinity race to be around the top.
All right, Woody, go ahead.
Woody Kane with MRN. When a lot of guys get a weekend off, like Kyle, for example, he's itching to go try and find someplace else to race, and you guys are very different in that you seem to just want to get away from it all. What do you got going on this weekend, off weekend, and tell me a little bit about that difference between you guys in that regard.
Yeah, so my off weekend, I'm training for a marathon. I decided, I don't know, a month or so ago that I wanted to try to do a marathon after cycling so much in the early part of the year. So Josh Wise has been helping our team out, and he's literally laid out like every day between now and the day of the marathon of what I need to do. And the fact that we're off next week, I'll probably do quite a bit of running, a little bit of cycling, and just kind of hang out with my family. Our little boy started school, and now he's got stitches. So we're only on our first week of school, so I think just kind of staying at home and getting them acclimated to what time you get up and what time you go to bed in school year versus summertime. It's different. So I expect just to have a kind of a normal week at home, and I look forward to that.
All right, I believe you had a question, a few on the back there. Go ahead, Mark.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Jamie, when you look at the stats, they're better across the board than a year ago. It's obvious you guys as a team are running stronger. Is the frustration level up for you? You had the runner-up at Talladega that the car's running well enough to get the victory lane, but you just haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah, I mean, we've run really well at every type racetrack this year. The plate tracks, the road courses, the intermediates have been really good. We just haven't been in the position to win. We haven't been there right at the end of the race. Honestly, we just have run from that like 4th to 8th, like every single race. I feel like throughout the whole race, you're maybe a little bit of strategy away from being able to win. I expect tomorrow night to be the same thing. If we can be out front with maybe the way the stages play out, or the pit cycle, we have a car fast enough to win. It's just getting in the right position. The stages have changed it a little bit. It's been kind of knowing when the cautions are going to fall. I feel like if you qualify well, and the fact that when the first 2 stages are going to be over with, or when the cautions are going to be there, it makes calling that race just a little bit easier. And I think that's why you've seen the 78 qualify well and kind of be able to dominate the stages, because they've had the fastest car, and the race is somewhat predictable for the teams in the first half. But our cars have been great. We just haven't been in the right position at the right time. Yep, lots of frustration with that. But it's the rules, right? I feel like they made that rule for me 5 years ago, so because I had won the 500 in the Brickyard and didn't make the chase. And now we've been really consistent, but I mean, that's the way it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. The way I view that, though, is that if we make the chase and you get locked in, we've outperformed over half the people that are going to be in it. So if we just keep doing the same thing, you should be able to advance through a few rounds. I wouldn't say easily, but we've run better than those people, the guys that have won a race and are kind of way down in points. So yeah, you make the chase. I think the first round is, I mean, if you don't have any unexpected issues, you should be able to advance to the second round, I think, fairly easy.
All right, I believe we have a question upstairs, and then we'll come back downstairs. Go ahead, upstairs.
Tucker White Speedway Media. Is it on? TuckerWhiteSpeedwayMedia.com. Jamie, you kind of answered this with the last question, but seeing as you've matched your top 10 total from 2016 with this year, and you're on track to have your best finishing average of your career this season, how would you rate your season so far on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you sure?
I don't know. I'm not good at that. We've had a really good season. We've been good at every type racetrack, but there's still quite a bit left to do. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not good at rating things like that. I'll let you rate it.
All right, go ahead.
David Swope, ESPN Radio Albuquerque. Jamie, the team seems to be having both you and Larson seems to be having a lot of success. How much of that positive energy, feeling back and forth between the two teams, and possibly sharing some insights or something that you have?
Well, I think I mean, when I look at the success of our team, it just starts with our engineering department, the teams working well together. Our cars, and it's, I feel like our sport is a little bit different than what it was 10 or 12 years ago, in that if one car runs well now, it seems like, or as an organization, if you have one car running well, it seems like that the rest of them run well, and if one's not, then none of them are. And a lot of that just comes down to the team being able to set the car up, I feel like, through simulation and all of the aero work that's going on. When I first started in NASCAR, the crew chiefs just kind of hung bodies where they wanted to, and you would eyeball it, and no one's bodies were the same because everyone had a different philosophy of what they thought was better or what was right. And now everything is so structured. The cars are all built very similar, and we have a little bit of leeway with setups and stuff when we get to the track, but for the most part, if the organization has speed, then it seems like everyone within that has good speed.
All right. Brad, go ahead.
Jamie, Brad Gilley, PRN Sirius XM. You've made the final round of qualifying 21 of 23 weeks. I think maybe a couple of those might have been rainouts, but still, have y'all made a concerted effort this year to be better on qualifying day? And what does that do for your weekend when you're starting a lot closer to the front?
Well, that's certainly helped us in the points, because by qualifying so well, we've been able to get a lot of points in the first stage. But I believe that when you look at qualifying, those are the cars that are fast every week. And there's some guys that maybe haven't made the third round, that are just crafty racers, or the team has done a good job through strategy and stuff of getting them up there. But qualifying is just that's the true test of how fast your car is and how good your team is. And we're really proud that we've been able to make it to that final round so many times. But again, we've kind of been stuck in that like 4th to 8th, like every week qualifying, right? We would like to get to that next step where we can be on the pole and contend to win more often.
All right, I believe we'll start Chris Knight, and then we'll end with Woody Kane. Go ahead, Chris.
Chris Knight, GetTrends.com. Jamie, just what's your take on stage racing? Do you like it after being able to experience it itself into the playoffs?
So I really like the stage racing. I didn't know what to expect when they announced that. It's really hard to accept change, I feel like, with anything. But as a fan, outside of the car watching the trucks or the Xfinity races, I kind of like knowing when that caution is going to come out. The fact that there'll be a restart. I mean, everybody, if you're a race fan, the restarts are awesome, right? And it also shakes up the strategy just a little bit. So I'm a huge fan of it. I also like it inside of the car. I kind of like the knowns of when the cautions are going to fall, and maybe the less random cautions because of having the stages and being able to bunch the cars back up. So yeah, I don't know how it'll impact the chase. I don't think it'll be any different than what we've seen already. But can't I almost think back to double file restarts, and when I watch old races, how that would be the lap down cars on one side and the leaders on the outside, which just seems so weird now, because you think, why wouldn't we have always had double file restarts? I think in a few years we'll look back and say, I can't believe we ever didn't have stages. Well, I think that when you're racing, when you're in the car and you're slowly catching somebody, it's almost like you get to have 3 races, because if you know you're going to run, if you don't know when the caution is going to come out, you maybe don't push as hard to get by that person, or try the top side with 2 laps to go and see if you can get around somebody, because you have so much more time to work on it, right? But I think that the intensity factor ramps up in some cases inside the car when the stages are coming to an end, and so I think it's a lot more fun racing wise to have the stages. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take our final question from Woody. Go ahead.
Woody came with MRN. Along those same lines, Jamie, can you explain how you have to play that strategy for the stages at a short track like this, or even a Richmond coming up, versus a big track like you were just at Michigan, or a super speedway?
Ask the question again.
How you have to play the stage strategy differently at a short track versus a big track.
So I don't know that it's as much at a short track or a big track. I think it's all about how much tire fall off you have. Darlington is the easiest race in the world to call, because if you run 10 or 12 laps, depending on how many sets of tires you have, you pit, because tires make such a difference. When we go to places like Michigan last week, it's a little bit different because there wasn't a lot of tire fall off. Or when you're places like Pocono or a road course where you don't get lapped when you pit, I think that's where it really gets shaken up, versus at somewhere like Bristol. If you pit here, you lose 2 laps, so everyone is not necessarily on the same strategy. And it might be a little bit unique here, because when the top comes in, we don't have as much tire fall off. Guys are able to hang on the top side a little bit better. But it's different for every racetrack, and I think that's part of what makes it fun.
All right, Jamie, thank you for your time. Best of luck this weekend.